Hello YouTube, hello, and welcome back to another Speed Lab. We're here again with another DLC character. I mean, obviously I covered Falcon last time, and I did say Anna's gonna be next, so here we are. This is Anna, and I think we're gonna be here for a decent amount of time, because this character is a doozy. A very big doozy. So yeah, let's talk about this character, because there's a lot to talk about, so the earlier we start, the earlier we finish. So yeah. When it comes to this character, I think we all know that she's one of the best characters in the game right now. I think she was the best character in the game before the latest patch, and she still might be, but it's a little bit more debatable now. But she's one of the best characters in the game, you can't debate that. Okay, so there's a few things to talk about. We're gonna go over a few sections, like I usually do. So we're gonna go over neutral stuff, we're gonna start with highs and mids, then we're gonna go with lows, then we're gonna go with stance stuff, and then we're gonna go with heat. Usually that's how I do it, so let's just do it like that, no reason to change it. Alright, so first let's talk about jabs, right? So Anna's jabs are pretty damn good and pretty damn important in this game, because jabs in general are important, obviously, but when your jabs have like additional mind games, then they become even better. And one additional mind game, just to remember when it comes to Anna, this is very important, is that after a 1-2 jab, she has the option to continue the string with a third jab, this, right? So this third jab is very scary, and the main reason why it's so scary is because it's delayable. So this is usually how it is without the delay. If I delay it, this is how it looks like. So what does this do? What this does is, if an Anna player does 1-2s a lot, let's say they 1-2 a lot, which good Anna players will do this, right? They just 1-2 a lot. One of those times they'll decide to do the third hit, delay it, and then finish the string fully, which is the 4. Right? And this is how it's gonna look like. Let's say you want to jab after 1-2, this is what's gonna happen. You cannot jab here. You're gonna get countered and you're gonna get launched. That's why this is very important to realize that Anna players have this. And usually they cannot confirm this. Usually. So you have to look out for it. If you mash here, you're getting launched. The other thing is, you cannot sidestep this. The third jab, you can't do anything about this, right? You can duck it, but I wouldn't recommend ducking the third jab. Ducking the last hit is fine, this one. That's a high, last hit. Very important. But I would not recommend ducking the third jab usually. Because if you duck the third jab, it's gonna be very annoying to deal with string, because they're just gonna spam 1-2s and you're gonna duck every time. So yeah, if you do want to deal with this, try to avoid the last hit, which is a high, duck it, and then launch it. But if you don't, let's say you don't, sometimes this will happen, just remember that this is a plus. This is plus for Anna, she's +4 after this, so be a little bit careful if you block it. You can't immediately match. One of the most common options they will do is their G version of a G-Clef, which is the 2 jab. So I talked about jabs, now let's talk about the 2 jab. So a 2 jab of Anna is a very strong, because it's a 10 frame 2 jab, and it basically has the guaranteed stuff on countered. And the countered stuff that's guaranteed is this right here, not that. This. So after a 2 jab, she can go into that stance, and if the 2 jab gets the counter hit, something like that, this is gonna be guaranteed. This is gonna be fully guaranteed. So yeah, everything for fall. Very important to know that in plus frame situations, this is gonna be most likely, it's gonna be their go-to move to do. Like for example, I mentioned 1-2, 1-4, right? So the sequence is gonna look something like this, into a 2 jab this. Right? That's why it's important to know that this is plus, because if you try to jab here, you are gonna get countered. If you try to press anything here, you are gonna get countered. So important to know. If you try to step here, right? You can do some stuff, especially if you step after a 2 jab, but yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit later. Because the 2 jab, the important part about this is that this goes into this stance right here. I'm going to talk about the stance a little bit later when I go into the lows, because the most important part about the stance is that it's connected to this low, which is this is her best low, down back 4. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the stance later, but make a little bit of a not a summary, but a little bit of a shortcut. You just step right after this. After you block the 2, one of the best things you can do here is step right. You just do this and try to punish it. If you electric fast enough, you can actually punish this, but usually Usually it won't work because it recovers very, very fast. So punish it however you want, like back 1-2, that's fine. 1-1-2, it's fine. Just punish it, right? That's what's important. The other thing about the 2-jab is that just because this stance exists, they can choose different options. For example, Ana players, if they see you stepping after this, because I said step right, they might use this option to track you. But this option does get beaten if you step and block. Something like this, right? Very, very important. You can also punish it. I'm going to talk about, as I said, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in detail when I talk about down back 4. But this is a little bit of a shortcut just for the 2-jab. That's going to be most of the mind games when it comes to 2-jab stance. But 2-jab also has another mind game, which is the 2-2. This right here. So that was without a delay, by the way. The second hit is just slow. So what this does is that when they 2-jab, they bring out a delayed move to bait out a button. Let's say, I don't know, let's say a down forward 1 or I don't know, down forward 4 for guys, right? They just bait out the button because of how much delay this has. And you think you have time to press. Very important thing about this is that you cannot jab here if your name is Kazuya. You cannot jab here if your name is Devil Jin either. I'm not too sure who else can't jab, but I checked. Dragunov could, Heihachi could, Reina could, Jin could do a 2-1, for example, right? But someone like us, you can't jab here. You try a 1-1, you're gonna get countered launch, and I would not recommend it. You can down jab, but it's a little bit different, right? It's a way, way better to do a side step right, but sometimes you can down jab because it will most likely annoy Ana a lot. So down jab can be a good option. But as I said, number one thing, side step right, and then try to react to what's happening, and if it's something whiffs, punish it. It's that simple. Alright. That's about the jabs and the 2-jab. I think that's about it for highs, mostly. Now let's talk about the mids. And the mids, actually, no, there's one more high. I forgot to talk about this. One more very important high, which is this move. But I will talk about this a little bit later when I talk about Hogan moves. I just want to mention it. You know, 4-4-2, I cannot forget about this. I need to talk about this. But yeah, let's talk about mids first. When it comes to mids, her most important mid is down forward 1. 100%, there's nothing better than this. So down forward 1-2 and down forward 1 in general is very, very strong because of how much mind games it has. The MLL. So down forward 1-2-4, down forward 1-2-3, down forward 1-2 by itself, down forward 1 by itself, or down forward 1-2 stance. This right here. So these are all the options. How much was that? 4 options. 5 options. Because down forward 1-2 and down forward 1 are options. They're separate options. They're not the same thing. So all of this is something that you might have to consider when you block a down forward 1-2 or a down forward 1 in general. Are they gonna, let's say, finish it into a stance? Are they just gonna do it and then sidestep? There's a lot of stuff to think about. So first, let's talk about down forward 1 by itself, right? So down forward 1 by itself is one of the scariest things, in my opinion, because it's a -1 down forward 1, which I don't know why it's -1 when it has like 10 options after it. But it's a -1 down forward 1 that you can use for spacing very, very easily. Like you can do this and you cover a lot of distance because this pushes you back a little bit, right? Kazuya gets pushed back slightly from down forward 1, so she just backdashes once and most things are run away. If it's spaced correctly, right? And even if you don't backdash, you can sidestep as well because it's only -1 and everything is also gonna whip. So down forward 1 by itself is scary, scary good because you're usually too scared to press anything because you're expecting something like down forward 1-2 into whatever or down forward 1-2 into this kind of stuff. You're not really expecting down forward 1 by itself. And even if you are, you have to react to it, and reacting to this is very hard, especially when it's -1. So sometimes you might even see setups like down forward 1 to 2 jab because, as I said, this is basically the G clef. Something like this because if you react too late, this is gonna counter at you. Example, right? So down forward 1 is very, very scary, and the good Ana players will use this for spacing and control very, very well. And it's just very, very scary to deal with. Like down forward 1 is super, super good even without the down forward 1-2 extensions. So without having them. Okay, now let's talk about the simple stuff first. Then after that, we're gonna talk about the very complicated stuff. So the simple stuff is down forward 1-2-4 and down forward 1-2-3. And they're simple because the only thing you have to do here is you have to duck the high and block the mid. That's all you have to do, right? And I wish I could tell you it's as easy as fuzzing it, like let's say a little bit of fuzzy, but the down forward 1 to 4 can be delayed. You cannot step this, sometimes you can I think, but usually you cannot do anything about this and you have to duck it. Right? Just have to duck it. And when it comes to the mid, it's just a mix-up, you can't duck it. Both of them can be delayed. So both the 4 and the 3, they're delayed. So there's no fuzzy options here. You can't fuzzy and be like, oh, I'm gonna avoid both. You can't do that. You can't do that. Because if you fuzzy, you might get hit by the mid or you will block the high. And blocking the high, this is also very important, is that this is -5 and they might mash after this. They might. A lot of Nina players, Ana players, a lot of Ana players do. So something like this, 2 jab, right? Whenever they mash, their go-to mash button is usually this. Usually. Just because it's a G-clef, right? And if you don't duck it or sidestep it, it's +6. Which is insane. At the wall, this is just insane. So, yeah, look out for some stuff like that. But as I said, it's a little bit more simple because it's just a high-mid mix-up. And you have to respect down forward 1-2 because of it. That's the main thing about this, by the way. That because of these two existing, you have to respect down forward 1-2. Which is a -5 without any stance transition. And is 0 with stance transition, right? Very, very important to know this. You can sometimes disrespect down forward 1-2. You can do it. But you have to know how to disrespect it. Because if you disrespect it and they choose the 1, let's say, even if you choose something like a 13 framer, it's gonna trade. GLY, I think profile. Anime learning, damn. I'm working for the enemy here, I guess. But it's fine, it's fine. It's very important for both of us to know this. Okay, so yeah, this is a very, very important. Very, very important to know that down forward 1-2, if you respect it and just not do anything, you're gonna get mixed with the stance. As I said, I'm gonna talk about the stance a little bit later when I talk about down back 4, because that's the main way Ana players will go into the stance. This is also a very, 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 very common way. This is a common way. I already talked about these two, but down back 4 is the most important one anyway. But yeah, before I go to this, also a little bit of a shortcut I'm gonna talk about for this situation, down forward 1-2 stance, is that sidestepping to the right is usually what you want to do. Usually, right? If you are thinking that they're gonna go into stance and maybe choose an option, sidestep right is usually what you want to do, and sidestep right duck also works pretty damn well. So yeah, as I said, I'm gonna talk about this in more detail when I cover down back 4. Okay, that's about down forward 1-2, more or less. I didn't cover the stance options, which you also have to consider when I do talk about them, but as I said, I'm gonna talk about them a little bit later. But shortcut, step right or step right duck. But they have options against it. The best common option and the most easiest option they will do is just do this and do another this. Like you just down forward 1-2, down forward 1-2, and if you sidestep right after down forward 1-2, which I told you to do, right? You do this, and let's say you sidewalk or don't block, you might get hit if you're late, let's say. But if you even if you're not late, let's say you're not late and you block it, this is what you will call a loop. Yeah, that's what it's called. It's a loop, right? So a down forward 1-2, you sidestep right every time and sidestep right block, something like this. They could just keep doing it and you're in the loop now, right? So you have to be a little bit careful and sometimes mix up your options. Side walking right can work, but it has its own weaknesses. So sidewalk and then try to punish it. But the thing about this on whiff, this is also very important to mention. I almost forgot to mention this. That when down forward 1 whiffs, you kind of have to guess if the high is coming out or not. Sometimes you have to do it, right? Because if something like this happens, let's say a down forward 1-2 to down forward 1, you want to punish this with a sidewalk. Let's say a sidewalk, I want to punish it. You can't really react to a down forward 1. You just have to do it. If I try to react to this, I will not be able to punish this with an electric. You will be able to punish it with a jab or something similar like that. But now the problem. The problem is the existence of down forward 1-2. So a down forward 1-2, down forward 1-2 cannot be punished in the same way a down forward 1 can. If you're too late here, right? Let's say I try this and an electric. You can't do it now. So if you do try to get a big punish like an electric, right? Or the down forward 2, generic down forward 2. Let's say you're playing another character. You can't really do that. So if you want a very, very good option to always punish down forward 1 and down forward 1-2, you have to choose something fast. Main thing here is going to be a Mishima 1-1-2 like Kazuya. You know, back 1-2 can also work. Stuff like that. But you cannot choose something that's slow. And the electric is kind of slow, you know? So, unless you want to guess if they're going to do a down forward 1-2 or down forward 1. If you do that guessing game, let's say you sidestep, then you can, you know, duck it and launch it. Sometimes I do this. I just see that they down forward 1, I guess that they're gonna finish it, then I duck it and launch it. You can do this, sometimes I do this, but if you want to play it safe, 1-1-2 is gonna be your go-to punish. Not an electric. But I usually try to electric it. That's what I usually do, because I'm a Kazuya player, I like electrics. What can I say? Okay, I think that's about it for down forward 1-2 mind games, more or less. I'm gonna cover the stance options later, as I already said. Empty my mind, think for follow. Oh yeah. So, now other mids. Also, very, very important mid, 4-4-3. So 4-4-3, 4-4-3-2, and 4-4-3-3, that's the strings. So these moves, these right here, very, very important moves, especially 4-4-3-2. Now, why are they important? They're very important because they basically serve as very, very long-range mid checks, and they can also serve as a mid mix-up. And most people know that Ana can do a full crouch low to mix you up, right? And she can basically do this and mix you up with a 4-4-3 instead of anything else, if they do it fast enough, right? It is possible. That's why this is a very, very important mid and basically checks you as well. Unless you're stepping a lot. If you're stepping a lot, they will do some other stuff. But yeah, this basically checks you. So very important to realize what this does and how you can deal with it. So, two things. Let's talk about the low first. So the 4-4-3 into the low, if you duck it, it's -14. And some characters will be able to launch this. Someone like Jin, Devil Jin, Raven, they can launch it. And Kazuya is one of them. Kazuya can also launch this because of Twin Pistons, right? So if you do block this and you guess, always launch it with those characters. If not, it's -14, punished however you can, right? As high a punish as you can, high damaging punish. Okay, that's about 4-4-3-3. And it's very important to also realize that this is a mix-up, right? This and this, unless you can react to this low, which maybe sometimes you can, it is a mix-up. And you have to guess if the mid is coming or not. So if you duck this, you're going to get hit by the mid. So sometimes that's why you don't see a lot of people ducking after 4-4-3 and they get hit by the low. So yeah, just remember that. Now let's talk about the mid. So this mid is -7, as you guys can see on the screen. You cannot punish this, it doesn't work. And when it comes to the hit property, it's a heat engager. So it's very, very scary. Very, very, very scary. So yeah, you have to look out for it. There's one counterplay that this has that I would not usually recommend, unless it's a very hard read. Sometimes you can do it. But the one counterplay this does have is that you can power crush through this. If you are actually expecting it, you can't react to this, by the way. It's very, very hard to react to this and then power crush. You have to be expecting it and then react to it, right? You can't just, you know, come out of nowhere reaction. So you can power crush through the mid. But I wouldn't really say that it's worth doing too much because of the existence of the low and just 4-4-3 and stuff like that. But you can hard read it and sometimes do it. It's not that bad, obviously, right? It's very, very worth it because you can power crush through and you actually get some kind of reward for having a read, which is, you know, it's good. But the move is very strong. And then now I have to talk about the block property. So when this gets blocked, it's -7, right? It's not -9, it's -7, which is insane. Because what the -7 means is that they can do stuff like this, not that. Stuff like 4-4-3, this into the power crush, right? And there's something like a 15 frame down forward 2 will not work here as a check. Like my down forward 1 doesn't work here, right? Because my down forward 1 is 15. It will not work as a check. Not only that, but also a 14 frame check will not work. So this is insane. Basically, you're stuck. You're stuck doing a 13 frame. Something like this. And the one other thing also to remember about this move is that it recovers very quickly. You can't punish that with wall standing too. No, it was only -14, if I remember correctly. But yeah, very important thing to remember about 4-4-3-2 is that it recovers very quickly. So even if you press, let's say you think that you pressed quickly, you didn't. Because you have to mash almost instantly. Drug covers unblock very, very quickly, and you have to use those frames also very quickly. Like if you want to electric here, you have to input the electric very early. Look at how early I'm inputting it, right? That's how early you have to time that. So very important to know that this recovers very, very quickly. And if you do try something like a down forward 2, you cannot do a counter launch. You can't get a counter here because the frames are not in your favor. That's why something like a -7 here is absolutely insane in my opinion. I can't believe it's not at least -9. But yeah, -7 really, really works in Ana's favor because she can, you know, heat burst heal, which is basically a power crush, or anything, basically, right? They can just do whatever. Okay, so that's about 4-4-3-2. More or less, one counterplay this does have is the power crush to the second hit. Other than that, in the neutral, you just have to sidestep it. And let me just demonstrate that in the neutral as well. Something like this, let's say. Big hit. Something like that. When you sidewalk it specifically, I guess. If you sidestep the first hit, the second one sometimes tracks you. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. Like that, right? It's a little bit iffy. But usually a sidewalk, sidestep right is what you want to do against this. But as I said, if the Ana player knows you're sidestepping a lot, they'll just choose different options. Okay, that's about 4-4-3-2, more or less. Down forward 1 I also covered. Now let's talk about another mid that's very, very important to talk about, and it's down back 2. So this move, it's a very, very annoying move. So down back 2 on normal hit is +8 into a bazooka stance. So this is the move that will go into the stance the most, I'm pretty sure. So down back 2 into this bazooka stance is very annoying for one very, very big reason. Well, two very big reasons. One is that it's safe with pushback, right? If you see this pushback, you may be a little bit uncomfortable pressing. Not only that, but it has very good range. You guys can tell that this hits from like crazy range, right? Kinda insane how much range this has. Because you can just throw it out and usually they will not be able to backdash it. Usually. Unless you're very far. So very, very good range. Down back 2, very, very good. And because of the pushback, Ana player might mash. So you have to check them. Just basically be aware of the pushback. Pushback behind the game is just how it is. It is just how it is. Okay. So that's about down back 2 on block. Now let's talk about down back 2 on hit and the neutral. In the neutral, you have to step this. You can't step it. It's safe. That's basically how you want to deal with this. And as I said, step right. Always step Ana to the right. There's only one exception. I'll talk about that later. So down back 2, step right. Everything else also step right, more or less. But now let's talk about the on hit property. So this is +8 on hit. And the +8 in bazooka stance. This bazooka stance is automatic. She doesn't get a choice to go with it or not. You're basically getting mixed up. And the mix up here is either a bazooka shot like this, let's say, right? Or the other one. They have the same speed. They're 8 frames, by the way, so you can't do anything about this. You can't power crush through this or anything. It's a mix up either with these 2 bazookas or this low. So this low is why this stance is an absolute nightmare to deal with. And if you guys looked at the frame data, this low is +28 on normal hit. This does not have a counter property, but it is +28 on normal hit. 28. So what does this mean? This means that you kind of want to duck this, right? You kind of want to duck it. But now when you duck it, I'll show this. It's also -13. So unless you have the privilege of playing someone like, you know, Gaz in this matchup, which can launch this, you can't launch this. And the +28 low is not launch punishable. It's not even -14. So when you block it, you usually not be able to launch it unless your name is Gaz. Unless your name is this guy. So yeah, this is very, very important to know, because usually it's not worth for you to duck here, but it's very, very worth for Ana player to use this low. So the risk reward is like entirely in her favor, and this is very annoying because every time you get hit by this low, the bazooka low, let me just demonstrate this. So when you get hit by this, Ana is in full crouch. What does that mean? That means that she gets access to the full crouch mix-up after this, which is this. Right? Or this. Or this. So you're at minus 28 and Ana can full crouch mix you up. There is one thing about this. Right? One very, very important thing. But if you actually backdash here, the full crouch will miss. But if you don't, you just get mixed up. And it's very hard to do that backdash. As you guys can see, I can't do it. Now I did it. So the trick to this is to just mash back. What do I mean by this? So if you pay attention to the model of Oz, every time I get hit by down back 2, if I mash back, I actually backdash first before getting hit by the low. That it creates enough distance for the full crouch low to miss. If you can do this, it's good because you don't have to, you know, get mixed up for free unless you're at the wall. But it's very hard to do. It's very, very hard to do in like an actual match. Because as I said, you just have to mash back, and then if there's something like this happens, on the instant timing, right? You have to punish it. But if you don't, let's say you don't do the back, you're just getting mixed. It's just a mix-up, you can't do anything about this. You have to duck the low, or get hit by the mid, or whatever. You're getting mixed, right? So, important to know that the back can sometimes work. And you have to like purposefully do it sometimes, or if you randomly do it, you just have to be ready for it and punish the whiff. So yeah, very important. That's why down back 2 is so strong, by the way. Like the 1 and 2, let me talk about the bazooka options as well, because I didn't mention them. So these are mid mix-ups that Ana players will use, and they will usually go for the 1, but they will sometimes go for the 2 as well. And the big difference is that the 2 does more damage, but the 1 applies the debuff. So let me showcase the 2 as well. So the 2 does more chip damage and damage in general. It also pushes back a little bit further. But the 1 is plus, it's plus 4 as I already showcased it, and it applies the debuff. You'll usually see the 1 more because, you know, debuff application and plus frames is usually what they want. And as I already said, after plus frames, they will usually go for the G-Clef 2 jab or the down forward 1. Okay. Established. That's down back 2. Very, very important. Okay. What other mids do I have to talk about that are not homing moves? Oh, I have to talk about this as well. Actually, there are 2 highs I kind of missed out on. Yeah, up forward 3. Okay, while I'm talking about mids, let me talk about this move. I think this is a very underrated move. So up forward 3 on Ana, in my opinion, is pretty underrated. And this can be used in this stance. So Chaos Judgment stance, they can use up forward 3. And they cannot do it in this stance, but Chaos Judgment they can. Now, why is it so underrated in my opinion? It's very good because the only weakness this move has is that you can sidestep it, but Ana players can very, very freely force you to play 2D Decken because, you know, they have like 10 homing moves and they have moves that home in general. It's very, very hard to just sidestep all the time against Ana and, you know, feel comfortable. So Ana is pretty good in making you play 2D, which means something like this becomes significantly stronger because of the weakness being sidestepping. Okay. Now, why is it so good? One very important reason is that it's 0 on block. Right? This move is 0. It doesn't look like it's 0. It's 0 on block. Which means the Ana player will jab here, or, you know, 2 jab, which I talk about so much. 2 jab. So, important to know the frames on this because Ana players will mash even though it doesn't look like much. Also, it's an orbital. So this will avoid any kind of lows, down jabs, and, you know, it's very, very strong in that regard. Very strong. Other very, very big reason. It's a wall splat. So if you use it as a mid mix-up, let's say you want to do this as a mid mix-up, you can. And it also has a very, very good range. So this move is kind of crazy. You can just throw it out as long as your opponent's not stepping. It's risk-free. And the reward is very high at the wall. Right? Very, very high reward. Just get the wall splat. Decent damage after the wall splat as well. It's not bad. And yeah, that's it. Since you have forward 2 to stop them from stepping, usually they're not gonna step if you show them that you use it a lot, you know? So up forward 3 is great. You can do something like down back 4 and up forward 3 as a mix-up. If they duck for long enough, they're gonna get hit. It's gonna be very hard for them to react to something like this. They duck, they get hit. They don't duck and they block it, it's 0. So there's literally not much risk to it. I think it's a very, very good low. Not low, mid. And especially because you can also use this as a mix-up after your Chaos Judgment stance. So you can basically do something like this and do that. And they mix it up with something like this. Frame-wise, they're a little bit farther apart, but if they do commit to the duck, they're gonna get hit. But as I already said, even if they block it, it's not that big of an issue because it's 0. It's really not. You don't care. So, yeah, very, very good. Very good move. I think it's kind of underrated. Just want to talk about it. Okay, that's all up forward 3. Now let's talk about the moves that I forgot that I just mentioned. So, up forward 1-3. Up forward 1-3 is a very annoying move that they will sometimes throw out. Especially when they whiff the up forward 1 and the third one counter hits you. Sometimes this will happen, right? In the neutral, they just throw it out. You see something whiff, try to punish it, got counter. This can happen, right? That's one of the reasons they might use it, Ana players, because they will want to catch you counter it. But now let's talk about the string. So when you do block this, it is -16, which means you can electric this. This will require a little bit of practice because you need to know the block style on this. But more or less, you'll be able to electric this pretty consistently, right? Unless you mess up the electric, which is always possible. But more or less, it's not that bad to electric. And if you practice this, even in real matches, it's just doable, right? It's fine. Other thing is that you can also down forward 1-4, but I would not recommend doing this because it whiffs if the second one, even electric whiffs. If the second one is the only thing that gets blocked, right? Even an electric might whiff here. But usually it will work. Usually. That's about just this. But now, let's talk about the follow-up. This right here. So this move has a follow-up. So if you try to, let's say, electric this or down forward 1 punish it, you will get hit and you will get tornadoed. Right? This is very important. Which means that there are some options that you can't do. There's a window here, basically. And the window is 13 frames, if I remember correctly. I might have delayed it, so let me just do this. Yeah. Yeah, the window is 13 frames. If they don't delay this, a 13 framer will trade here. And you can only use a 12 framer to punish this. But the big thing about this, very important, is that just this, you cannot really punish with a 12 frame. Like a 1+2 will not reach. Back 1-2 will not reach. 1-1-2 will not reach. Right? None of this will reach unless your name is King. Maybe Diligence back 1-2 will reach. Right? So you don't really have an option select with Kaz anyway, but with other characters you might. Something like a King back 1-2 is an amazing option select. Something like a Diligence back 1-2, if it reaches, that will be pretty good as well. But you just need the reach here and 12 frames. Okay. Now, if you don't have that, let's say you, or if you want to go for higher reward, you can do up forward 1-3 3+4, not the up forward 1-3 3+4. You can step to up forward 1-3 3+4. That's the weakness of this. But very important is that you don't step to the wrong side. I've talked about this so much, but you have to step this character to the right. Sidewalk and then punish. This is how you deal with this. Right? You can also, 1-4-3. You can do whatever you want here. But you have to... That hit me. But you have to remember that if you do this, they will get away with doing just up forward 1-3. It's gonna be way better to do the option select version if your character can. Let's say King. King just back 1-2 this all the time. Way better to do that because you don't have to guess. But for Kaz, I think it's worth it to play the mind game. Like electric it sometimes and sidestep right sometimes. I think it's more worth it because we don't have a... we don't have an option select here. Okay, so that's up forward 1-3. That's about that string. Pretty damn important. Now let's talk about the other high, which I did miss, which is QCF1. Not QCF, QCF1. So QCF1 is a long-range high that's a counter launcher that Ana players will use in the neutral just to check you from long range. And I can't do it in neutral. Nice. So the Blue Spark version or normal version doesn't really matter. They both serve the same purpose, more or less. And what they do is they do that. Right? If you try to press at the wrong time, you will get countered. That's what this does. This basically checks you from long range, and it's a counter check as well. Like they want to do a counter launcher with that. And the good thing about that move is that it's also plus. I think it's +1 normally. It can become +2 or +3 depending, but usually it's +1. So it's plus frames. So you can't really jab here. And you guys remember what I said about plus frames, right? Usually they just do this and do that. Because of the +1, they will do this into 2 jab into this, which is a G clef. Which means that he's gonna look something like this. That, if you try to jab, right? I did a mess up there, but that's how it's gonna look like. You're gonna block this, they're gonna do a 2 jab into the G clef, and you're gonna get countered because you're -1. You try to jab her back. So, yeah, important to know that it's plus, and the way to deal with it in the neutral is to try to step it and punish it. It's easier said than done because it recovers decently quickly, especially the blue spark version. I think it recovers quicker. Right, so if you do step this, best punishment is going to be a quick one, but you can also try to electrocute, right? Even that was too slow, by the way. But, as I said, it's just important to sidestep. Very, very important to sidestep because it will force the Ana player to use forward forward too. Oh yeah. I think I covered the important moves, and now I can go to the homing moves. Holy shit, it's taking a long time. Okay, now let's talk about the homing moves. Is it 3 or 4? Okay, I'll just go through them. So, the most important homing moves, I'll save for a little bit last. So first, let's talk about back 4. So back 4, you don't see too much. This is a homing move that they can use, which has a pretty damn good range. But doesn't really do much, right? It does go into stance automatically, into a mix-up. But you don't really see this too much because of the existence of other better homing moves. But I just wanted to mention this because, you know, it's a thing. Now let's talk about the homing move. The 2 homing moves that are the best that Ana has. The most obvious one is forward forward 2, which is the whoosh, right? The whoosh. This is a crazy, crazy homing move because it's +4, melee in range, and it's basically you just have to duck, right? Like look at the range this has. That gets blocked. Crazy. So this whoosh basically stops you from sidestepping, unless you sidestep duck a lot, but even then it's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be hard to avoid. So you have to sidestep duck a lot if you want to avoid this, or you just duck and then punish it because you can't really step it. And you can't really backdash it because if the Ana player whiffs this somehow, they messed up, right? They really messed up because this is very hard to whiff. This is very, very hard to whiff. But if you backdash a lot, maybe sometimes it'll happen, but usually they won't. So you're going to be forced to duck this. Okay. Now let's talk about the mind games after this. It's very, very similar to everything else I talked about. Your usual suspects, it's going to be down forward 1, 2, and 2 jab. They want to check you. And if they want to like play more mind games, maybe they're going to do it again. Right? Maybe they're gonna duck in your face, stuff like that. Usual Ana stuff. Alright. Very important, forward forward 2. This is how you deal with it, even though it's very hard to deal with. You just have to sometimes, you know, read it and duck it. Sometimes. Now let's talk about the other very problematic homing tool that I think not enough people talk about. It's this. This is a crazy move, by the way, 1+2. It doesn't look like much at all, but this is insane how good this is. So 1+2 is a mid homing move that has decent range. It's not that bad, right? It looks like it doesn't have much, but it hits even from here, right? 2.3-ish. I think 2.2 is a little bit more accurate. But yeah, it has decent-ish range, even though it doesn't look like it does have that much range. And it's +1. And you guys saw how much plus frame situations Ana has, right? This is another +1 situation that basically enables the G clef mind game, right? This into this. This enables it. So you can't press after this because of that. Maybe down jab, right? Or something that high crushes. But it's a mind game that enables Ana to sidestep afterwards, let's say, right? Or backdash afterwards. Because of the pushback, you can, you know, consistently backdash and make things whiff here. Look at that pushback, right? So it's really, really good. And as I said, it's a homing move and it's +9 on hit. It doesn't do much on hit. It's 5 chip damage, right? But the important thing about this move is not the hit property, but it's the block property and the counter property. I already talked about the block property, right? 1+2 block property is very good. I already mentioned this because of the +1. But now let's talk about the counter property. So the counter property is why this move is so damn strong. Because on counter hit, it's +14. The hit property is also not that bad, to be fair. Because this can transition into a stance. I did not mention this. This actually transitions into a stance. It doesn't do much damage, but it goes to a full mix-up. But this is not the most important part. The counter property is what's important. But let me talk about the hit property very, very quickly. Basically, what you have to think about here is the exact same situation as down back 2. The frames are a little bit different, but it's basically the same. Get hit by this, stance, bazooka. right? Mix up. This 4, mix up. I already talked about the stance when I was talking about down back 2, so it's very, very similar. Don't have to talk about it too much. But the important part about this is that you're still in a guessing situation after a homing move that's +1. Right? Crazy. So, yeah, very, very important. Sometimes you can mash here, by the way, but it's a little bit iffy to mash. And let's talk about the countered property. The countered property on this, as I said, it's very important because it guarantees a bazooka. It guarantees either the 1 or the 2. It's just guaranteed. It doesn't wall splat you, I think it used to, not anymore, but it's still a lot of damage. And as I said, this is a mid homing move that's +1. Mid homing. Decent range, you can't do much about this, and the mind games are very much in Ana's favor. Very much so. And even on hit, let's say you don't get countered, but you get hit, you're still getting mixed up by a +28 low after it. Right? You're still gonna get mixed by a +28 low, and usually at the wall. Usually. You don't want to duck the bazooka, but you don't want to duck the low, and you just don't know what to do. So, yeah, very important. This is a very, very good move. Very good. One more extra thing I want to mention, you won't see this too much, but I just want to mention it, is that the bazooka stance actually can cancel into this stance, and this stance can also cancel into this stance. So all 3 of these stances are cancelable. Like this can go into this one, I don't know what they're called, but they can go into each other basically, right? Something like this. And the bazooka one also can go into this one, and you know, they can cancel into each other. So this is important because sometimes Ana players, after down back 2, let's say, they'll go into this stance and mix you up with this instead of the bazooka stance. This into this, let's say, right? Or this into this stance, go full crush and they mix you up. So yeah, just important to know. You don't see this too much, but sometimes you will. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, that's about the bazooka stance. What else? About homing moves. Back 4 1 +2 4 4 2. I think those are the most important ones. The other one you might see is also back 2. Sometimes you will see this. This is a high that you can't block. Not block. You can't duck because it jails. It's -9. And if you do predict it, you just have to commit and duck both. But usually you're just gonna be blocking it. Just have to remember that it's -9 and play the mind games accordingly when you block it. If you get hit by this though, it's +5. It's not that much plus, but it just hurts. You don't see this much because something like this exists. And this is just way better as a homing compared to something like that, right? Even 1 +2 is way better because this, you know, enables this mix up. Okay. I think that's about it for homing moves. Now we can have to talk about lows. My lord, the lows. Okay, when I talk about the lows, I also have to talk about the stance, because I mentioned that I have to talk about the stance when it comes to down back 4. So let's talk about down back 4. Actually, let's talk about the other low first, the other 2 lows. So the 2 lows I have to talk about before down back 4 is down forward 4 and down 4. So down forward 4 is a pretty damn good low with a lot of range, but the biggest minus this low has is that it's -15. Right? It is launch punishable. And most characters will be able to launch this decently, consistently, right? The problem with this, in this matchup specifically, so I'm going to talk about this matchup, is that Ana players that actually know at least a little bit about Kazuya, right, will actually space this correctly just so you won't be able to punish this anymore. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that if the down back 4 is spaced correctly, this twin pistons, which usually works, whiffs, right? You can't punish anymore. It just doesn't work. And this is not that hard to achieve as an Ana player. It's not that difficult to achieve something like this as long as you're aware, right? And the big thing about this move is that it's not -16, which means that you cannot wall standing 2. You cannot do this. And the wall standing 4-4 is going to be your punish or wall standing 1 +2. And for a -15 move, this is harsh. The one thing you can do is electric this. But you guys already know that this is not something that you can easily do, right? It's not something that you just, oh, let me just electric this. Obviously. Right? But it's possible, I'm just putting it out there, but in the real match, this is going to be very, very difficult to actually do. And sometimes you will even be late, right? You have to actually react to this. But if you want a launch, a consistent launch at that, that's how you launch this. You electric it. But yeah, good luck doing that in a real match. I can't even do it in practice when I'm getting down twos. Okay, there we go. But as I said, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Alright, that's about down forward 4. The one thing forgot to mention is that down forward 4 will track you if you step right. This is also a very, very, very good move for sidestep right utility. If you think your opponent is stepping to the right, you can use this and stop them from doing that. Unless they step right, duck opposite, right? They duck, they're gonna duck it. But, other than that, this will stop them from stepping to the right. At least force them to duck. Right? It will force them to duck. And it is weak to left, but it's not that weak to it. So you can't really step block. You have to commit to a sidewalk. You have to commit to it. So this is important because some Ana players might use this as an anti-sidestep right tool, which can be a good tool to do. Good thing to do as an Ana player. Okay, that's about down forward 4, more or less. Now let's talk about down 4. In my opinion, down 4 is it's kind of busted. I don't know why Ana and Nina have this down 4 when they nerfed generic down 4s to be -4, but they still have the high follow-up with still 0. I don't know why this is okay. I don't think it's okay for either of the characters. But yeah, they do have it. So down 4 is a very, very good low poke for Ana and Nina as well. I'm not going to talk about Nina, but for Ana, because it has a high follow-up with this, right? That's very delayable. So this is a non-delayable version of down 4-1, and this is the delay. Right? It's heavily delayable, which means that you will not be comfortably ducking here and pressing snooze, thank you for following. So now then we just talk about what the delay means. Because usually what you can't do against this is duck it and instantly launch it. Because you can't react to this, right? If you react to this and then try to launch it, it won't work. You see this? Even in practice mode, I can't do it. I have to immediately commit to a launch and predict that they're going to do the high. What you can react to is that, oh, they did the high, so I can just immediately push down, right? Immediately press. But even sometimes, you can't do that. Very, very difficult. Which means that down 4 delayed 1 makes that impossible to punish unless you literally do something like this and instantly react as fast as possible. You have to commit to a duck. And even then you have to react very quickly. This is very, very difficult to punish, the delayed version. If they do the fast version and the delayed version both, then it's gonna be like super, super difficult to punish, but yeah. Very important to know. Other than that, you can't do anything about this, and as I said, 0 on block. This is 0, and yeah, this is annoying, because 0 on block against Ana, you don't want to be 0, or even if you're +1 or +2, even that's bad against Ana. Okay, so that's about down 4-1. Down 4 has one more extension, by the way, which is down 4-1-4. This. So if you commit to the duck, this will actually mix you up. Because I mentioned that because of the delay, you have to commit to the duck more, right? You can't just fuzzy this. You can't fuzzy it. Because of the high being delayed, you can't fuzzy it, you're gonna block it. So this will actually mix you up if you commit to the duck. But now, one of the most important things I need to talk about when it comes to this move and Gauss is that even though it's -14, most likely someone like Raven, Jhin, Devil Jhin, they'll be able to launch it. But Kazuya cannot launch this. Because this never works. So Kazuya while staying 1-2, even if I'm right in front of her, it just never will work. Doesn't work. So you have to know that you cannot punish this with the launch even though you have the frame for it. Because the while staying 1-2, you know, garbage range. With while staying 2, you don't have 16 frames here. One thing you can punish this with is while staying 4-4, but even while staying 4-4 can sometimes work. Like that. Right? So if you want a very consistent punish, you have to while staying 1+2. This will always work. This is the one consistent punish you have that will always work no matter what. The other consistent punish you have that will also always work no matter what, if you're good enough, obviously, is to electric. And this is very hard to electric because the block stun is so late. You see how late the block stun is, right? I can't even get the electric in. But it is possible if you do a 14 frame electric here. Or obviously a 13 frame one. But technically speaking, it's never worth it. It's just never worth to try this. There we go, I got it. Once out of like 5 tries, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, it's not worth doing. Just while staying 1+2 is going to be your go-to punish for this, because nothing else will work consistently anyway. Alright, just important to mention. Now let's talk about the other thing about down back 4, is that it's transition. Oh yeah, now this is the problematic part about this move. So down 4, obviously the 1 is annoying and the mid is also annoying to deal with. But the transition is what makes this a kinda broken move. Kinda, it's very strong. So the transition, what does this do? Because of the high existence, this forces you to duck. Because of the mid existence, this forces you to respect it and not commit to the duck sometimes. So it's a mid mix-up, right? And you don't press after this because of these 2 existing. Because, you know, even though this is -4, you can't press just because this exists. Just because this exists, you can't press here. Okay, that's established. But now, she also has a down 4 into a stance, which basically forces you to guess. You already know that you're not stepping after this, right? You're not stepping because the high will hit you. I think the mid will also hit you if you try to step. You're not stepping after this. We already established that. You're ducking here or not ducking here. That's basically your choice to make, right? Because duck the high, don't duck the mid. That means you're not moving. That means you're respecting her. That means she can mix you up. It's that simple. But she can even do something like this into this and it will work. And the reason it will work is because of what I just mentioned. Because they're expecting the high, they're expecting the mid, let's say. If they respect it, and they, you know, don't mash here or sidestep, they will get hit. But now, we have to add something like this, which is the stance mix-up. So now let's talk about the stance. As I said, when I'm talking about the lows, I have to talk about the stances. So this stance is the Chaos Judgment stance. You can also manually go into it, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that this stance has a low mix-up like this one, a mid mix-up like this, let's say. So this is one of the reasons I think F4-3 is really good, by the way. F4-3 can be used in this stance. As a mid mix-up, you can use it. And you can also use it as a check with the 3. This right here, which has the bazooka follow-up. Okay, now let's talk about the stance in general. And all the follow-ups that exists when it comes to the stance. The big thing you have to worry about is gonna be the mix-ups and your sidesteps. What will check your sidesteps or not, right? And the thing here, one of the best things to do when it comes to this stance in general, doesn't matter what move goes into the stance, is to sidestep right or sidestep right duck. Why do you go right or duck? Now the main reason why you would want to duck is because of something like this into the down 3-3. Because if you sidestep right, this will catch you, and you can't really do anything about this. But if you duck, as long as it's fast enough, you'll be able to do something like this, right? That's one of the reasons why you want to duck. One of the reasons why you don't want to duck is this move right here. The 1+2. And the 1+2 will track that way. I don't know why it tracks so much, but it just does. So if you sidestep right duck, you'll get hit. But if you sidestep right and then block, at least you'll block. It is plus, so even on block, it's good for Ana. But at least you're just gonna block, right? But if you force this out, you can step it to the left sometimes. Correction, sidewalking. The tracking was like horrendous there. So yeah, sidewalk if you want to be consistent, or you can also mash. You can indeed mash here as well. It is possible to mash if you do force this out. But yeah, the 1+2 is the most annoying thing you're gonna deal with when it comes to stuff like that. That and the 3. So the 3, you can actually sidestep here the situation as well. But it's very annoying to deal with because the one time you don't sidestep, or when you just don't sidestep in general, it's a mix-up. So let's talk about the 3. This is very important. Actually, before I talk about the 3, let me just go to the 1 and 2. So the 1 and the 2-1. This gets avoided by sidestep right. It tracks to the left well. That's why I told you guys to step to the right and not to the left. And whenever you do block this, it's 0. Right? It's very, very good. You don't want to block this and you want to avoid it. So you go right because of that. And this also gets avoided, the 2-1. And this tracks to the left pretty damn decently as well. But one thing very important to mention is that when they do this, the second hit usually will track you. Something like that. Unless you commit to a sidewalk. This is also one of the reasons you don't want to sidestep duck all the time. Because let's say I sidestep duck here. It hit, right? If I don't, I block this into punish. So, yeah, very, very important. Okay, that's about the 2-1 and the 1, more or less. I'm not gonna make there's too much time about them. You don't see them too much. 2-1 you'll see in heat usually because it's a heat engager. Into +5, you know, normal heat stuff. But now let's talk about the 3. Not that. I'll talk about that when I talk about heat. Let's talk about the 3. So the 3, why is this so damn annoying? It's very annoying because normally you can punish this if you look at the frames. Oh, it's -12. Let me just, you know, I blocked it, I punish it. Back 1-2, or let's see, 1-1-2. Right? Now the annoying part. The annoying part about this is that it's a mix-up. Punish mix-up. Which means that you can punish the first hit, but you have to guess if they're gonna finish the bazooka or not. If they finish the bazooka, you can't punish it. If they don't, you can't punish it. If you respect this, let's say you sidestep. By the way, this is what you have to do against this if you want full punishment. There's a higher punishment as possible. You sidestep right, the bazooka, and then punish it. Right? If you expect the bazooka. But if you expect the bazooka and they do just the 3 and you sidestep, you're gonna look like a clown, right? Because you didn't punish the 3. But it's just how it is. It's a punish mix-up and it's very, very annoying to deal with. Very, very annoying. Especially in heat, because the bazookas, they're 3 hits. So let me just showcase that as well. Let me go into heat and, you know, do this. So if you sidestep this to the right after the 3, the second hit sometimes still tracks you. Don't ask me why, and don't ask me why the devs think that this should ever be a thing and why it has tracking, but it just does. Right? And the funniest part about this is that the third hit whiffs. Right? Dude, so it's very, very important to know this. Also, I forgot about this, but I just want to check. You cannot sidewalk this. I don't know why, you cannot. I can't sidewalk it. Maybe your character can, like whatever character you guys can play, maybe they can. But you have to step it. And if you want to punish this, it's something like that. This is how a punishment on the heat version is gonna look like. You block the second hit, and then because it's a lot of minus, because in the last bazooka whips, you just go in and punish it. You just have to be ready for it. Like if you're not ready for it, you're gonna be very confused. But this is gonna be how an actual good punish is going to look like for the triple bazooka after the 3. But as I said, it's very, very annoying because they can do just the 3. They can just do that. Okay. What else? A little bit about frames, just this -11, so if you want to consistently punish this and this both, while staying 4-4 is the way. But usually try to react to the high and then, you know, launch it and then 4-4 this, but it's hard, right? It's not gonna be easy. But as I said, usually Mustang 4-4 will always work here, but usually also Ana players like to do the high. So you can launch punish this. It is launch punishable if they finish the high. Anything else about Chaos Judgment that I need to talk about? I already talked about this, just the mid option, right? So basically what they can do is mix up this with this. There is a frame difference, so you can somewhat react maybe and stand up if you're ducking, but it's still not easy, so maybe they can do it. And as I already said about this move, even if you block it, it's still pretty bad for you. Right? 0 is pretty damn good for Ana. Am I missing something about Chaos Judgment? I don't think I am. There is a power crush here that you will not see too much. One thing I almost forgot about this. Another transition to that stance is 4-4 3+4. This is the same mind game. You also sidestep right or sidestep duck here. Very, very similar mind game. But in this situation, you might see the power crush. This. Which doesn't change our option too much because you also sidestep right this power crush as well and will get avoided. So I just keep it in mind, I guess. Okay. That's about down 4 and the Chaos Judgment stance. Hopefully I didn't forget important stuff. Maybe I did some stuff. Whatever. Now let's talk about down back 4, which is their best low. This low right here. So down back 4 is a -13 low, which, as you already know, only Eddie and Kazuya will be able to launch this. So for us, it's good when we block it, but for everyone else, it's horrible because the hit property this has is absolutely amazing. Okay. So down back 4, +6 low that transitions into this stance. I think this is a hammer chance. Someone told me this is the name of the stance, hammer chance. So it goes into this stance, and she does not have a choice, by the way. Automatically goes into this stance, which is a good thing. If she had a choice, it would have been way more toxic. Okay. So what you do here is after this stance, you have to expect certain things. If you expect, let's say, a 1+2, which is this move, big bazooka, right? You have to step it. And thankfully, after like half a year of Ana's release, like maybe 4 months or something, this stopped being tracking. Because this used to be a tracking move. Right? Now you can actually go right. And when you go right, you can punish this. This used to track, by the way. Imagine. This used to track. So what you want to do against both of the stances is sidestep right or sidestep right duck. Especially in this one, you want to sidestep right duck more than just sidestep right. The reason behind that is because this has a home in the low. This one. Kind of the same reason, I guess. So when this happens, sidestep right duck, punish it, right? This is also -14, so you can launch it with twin pistons. Or some other kicks can also launch this. That's the main thing that you want to do, and this also avoids the 1+2, as I already showed. And also avoids the 2 option, which is also new. They did nerf this. This used to track. And you will be able to punish it if you're fast enough, right? So this is just a very, very good option. One thing, which is important, is that this too has a string follow-up. And the string follow-up, if you duck, sidestep right duck and not stand up, you are gonna get hit by this or get countered by this. Right? Let's say you sidestep right duck, instant right punish, it won't work, you're gonna get hit. So it's just important to realize that this is a problem that you might face if you do that option a lot. That and the high follow-up will also have the same problem. Right? The problem here is that you don't really have enough frames to instantly punish this when it comes to the mid follow-up. I think you can when it comes to the high one. You have like decent enough frames. You can even down jab here or whatever, right? You can't do it. But it's hard. The mid, as I said, it will just hit you. So what you can do is just sidestep right into nothing, right? Not duck, or sidewalk right. If you sidewalk right, you will also avoid this. But as I said, the low is annoying, so they will use the low to get you if you sidewalk. But it's not that big a risk because, you know, it's just a low. It's not that big of a deal. But I'll talk about that though after this, after I'm done with everything here. Alright, when it comes to this stance, as I said, usually sidestep, or not sidestep, sidewalk or sidestep right is fine. Sidestep duck, also very good. But they have options to catch you. So if they think you're going to sidewalk or you sidewalk a lot, they will just use the 4 and this will catch you. Right, this actually tracks really decently. If you sidestep block, you'll be able to sidestep block this. It's still a little bit slow. But if you sidewalk, this is going to hit you. This is one of the things that they might use to catch you sidestep. It catches both steps, by the way, so I wouldn't really bother sidestepping the other side. And when you do block it, Kazuya specifically can punish this. This is very important, by the way. Because when you block it normally, you cannot punish this. So one thing about the sidestep right here, which is also, as I said, very, very good, is that this move has enough pushback, so the 12 frame punishment usually doesn't work unless it has long range. Maybe now Dragunov will be able to punish this, let's say, right? Or maybe Elisa will be able to punish this. But if you want to punish this as a Kazuya player, you sidestep right, block, and then punish this with 1+2. Otherwise, you cannot punish this with 1+2. It's a little bit difficult and it requires a lot of awareness. Sometimes you don't even try to punish it, which is fine, right? But it's just something that you guys should know. Okay, so that's about sidestep right block, about this sequence. But the biggest problem with you sidestepping is the Ana player doing the down back 4 into the 1. This. So if you try to sidestep after this, no matter what direction you choose, you are gonna get hit. There is no sidestep blocking your way out of this one, basically, right? If I sidestep block like that, that's basically not a sidestep. I'm not even doing anything, right? There's no sidestep block, there's no sidestep duck. You have to commit to a full-on duck here if you want to avoid this. You can fuzzy it in a way, right? It is possible, but you have to duck it. You can't avoid it. You have to duck it. If they see you sidestepping a lot, they will do the one. They'll just do the one, it will catch you. No matter what you do, it will just catch you, right? And even if you block it, this is very important. It's +6. Especially at the wall, this is important because the pushback won't be as high. So if you block something like this at the wall, +6 at the wall, you gotta be very careful here. Alright. Am I forgetting any option of this? I think I talked about all of them, right? I think I talked about all of them. Yeah. Alright. So that's basically what you want to do against the stance, but now let's talk about the low, because the low, the mind game after the low is like, it's a whole different story. So the low usually is -3, right? It's usually minus frames, so you don't have to worry about too much. You can actually mash here in this specific situation anyway, but you will not see the situation most of the time. What you will see most of the time is this right here, which is +4. So what's the difference? The difference is this -3 leaves Ana in full crouch, and then you go full crouch mix-up, let's say. I'll talk about full crouch mix-up after this, right? But the other version goes into Chaos Judgment stance and leaves her at +4, which creates a mind game situation where you have to start guessing. The most common thing that the Ana players might do here is a check with a 3 that you can't do anything about. So what's gonna look like is something like this. So you get hit by the low, which is gonna happen sometimes, right? And you try to step, it won't work. You try to step to the right, it won't work. This will just catch you no matter what, unless the range is very, very specific. If it's close range, usually it will catch you, something like this. Let's say. Wait, did I mess up last time? I think I messed up last time. You can't step it. I did mess up last time. I was very confused when I got hit. I was like, oh, you can't step it apparently. I guess it's very range dependent. This time I couldn't step it. Yeah, it is range dependent. So if they're literally in your face, I don't think that will ever happen in a real match, I'm gonna be honest. If they're literally in your face like this, and you try to step, this will catch you. I can't step that. But usually you will get hit by this in certain ranges. Now you can step it. I think it's gonna be more accurate to say that you can't step this to the right than not. 100%. Okay, so you can step this to the right, the 3, but you can't step to the left. As I said about the Chaos Judgment in general, you do want to step right no matter what. So stepping right after this move is gonna be your go-to option. It's just gonna be very good. But if you step right, as I already mentioned about the stance, if you just step right, this will hit you, right? So step right duck can be possible, but you have to do it very quickly, and it's just very hard to do. It's very, very hard to do, so you're still in some kind of mix-up. And if you step right duck, I think you're gonna get hit by the mid, which is the 3, right? Not the 3. This into this. I think if you step right duck, you are gonna get hit by this. Let me just check. I think you are gonna get hit by this way more than normal. But I think it's possible to do anyway. It is definitely possible. Alright. So step right duck is definitely a good option, but as I talked about the stance, the 1+2 basically is what stops you from doing that. But if you force this out, it's not that bad, and it's not the end of the world. Even if you get hit by this, it's fine. Right? 1+2 is not that big of a deal. Okay. And if you want to know the other options from the stance, I already covered the stance when I was talking about down 4. Right? I already covered this, and sidestep right is a very, very good option. Okay, are we actually done outside of heat? Took me like 2 fucking hours. Well, like 1 hour and something, I'm pretty sure. But I think we're done outside of heat. You guys can remind me if I'm forgetting something. But okay, let's talk about heat. Let's talk about heat. So heat Ana. What you have to remember, there are like 3 or 4. 3 moves that you have to remember for certain, because they're gonna usually come out. So one is 4-4-3-2. I already talked about this, but now it becomes a heat engager. Not becomes, it is a heat engager, and it becomes +5. Right, and it's a launch. So very, very important. Very, very important to know this. You have to look out for this. As I said, you can sidestep it, but usually not worth it, right? Second, this is broken. In my opinion, this is broken. I don't know why this character, Ana, has it, or any other character has it. Raven also has something like this. I think someone else also has it. I'm not too sure. But this kind of move. A fast move, which is basically faster than 15 or 15-ish. That's a launcher as a heat engager, heat dash, right? The booty. So this booty is very strong because it's very fast. It's +5 in heat because the heat dash and also launches you. I think this is kind of broken. I don't think any character should have that, but Ana players do have this and you have to expect it, and it's gonna be very hard to step this, by the way. It's gonna be very hard to avoid it in general because all they have to do is run up to you and then booty. Okay. Okay. So this second. Third heat dash. The full crouch move. Full crouch down forward to 1. So I'm going to talk about full crouch as well, but I just want to mention this move. So full crouch down forward to 1 is a pure mix-up to this, because both of them are 20 frames, right? There's no fuzzing or anything, you can't do anything about this, you're just getting mixed up. And there's no reacting, I don't care, you can't react to this, right? There's no reacting to this. And when you do get mixed up by this, in heat, this becomes a +5 move, right? And it's also a launch. So it's very, very important to know and look out for this. That's why in heat you don't see a lot of people ducking sometimes, but it's still a mix-up and you just have to guess either this or either this. It's just something that you can't escape and you just have to guess it. And the one more thing is that if you do block this, it's -10 outside of heat. Right? It's -10, you 1-1-2 or whatever 10 frame punish that you have. Always punish this. Okay. Now let's talk about the other full crouch options and what to do about them. Just before I talk about the heat percent, the heat smash. So when it comes to the full crouch stuff, let's say an Ana player is just ducking in your face or does something that goes to full crouch, let's say sidestep 1+2, sidestep 2. I did not mention this, by the way, I just remembered. I will slightly mention this right now. But the thing about sidestep 2 is that it's a long range low. Another low I did not mention, right, as I said. But it's not that big a deal because the only thing this does is that it has very good range and it goes in the full crouch. This is the main shtick this has, basically, right? The main thing about this move is that it's also -12, right? It's not launch punishable like us. And as I said, it goes to full crouch, which enables a full crouch mix-up if you either respect it or don't do anything about it. So what can you do about the full crouch mix-up? Let's say after this into this. The best thing you have to do here is you sidestep left. So a sidestep left will work. But if you want to be super consistent about it, you have to sidewalk. And the sidewalk left is basically what you want to do against the full crouch mix-up in general. Because it's not just the low that you're avoiding. You're doing this to the low. I didn't want the low. The mid. Let's say. And they just mix you up. You sidestep left, you avoid it, right? As I said, sometimes some of this might catch you if you sidestep without sidewalking. If you want to be consistent, you sidewalk. But yeah, sidewalk, you avoid it. Right? Even sidestep can be fine. The big problem about sidestepping in general is that this sometimes catches your sidesteps. So if you do this and I sidestep, sometimes it might catch it. Right? Sometimes. When it comes to full crouch, like big mix-ups anyway, like this. Sometimes it might catch you. There we go. Right? Yeah, there we go. So I guess it's a little bit range dependent as well, but as I said, if you sidewalk, it's consistent, and the sidewalking is usually what you want to do against this. Maybe if you have a good sidestep, sidestepping will also work, but Kazuya has to sidewalk. Other than that, the other options are something like, while standing 3, just to check you. If you mash, this will check you. If you sidestep, I think right, this will also catch you. Yeah. So one thing, this is the exception I talked about, right? One exception to Ana's sidestep direction is that whenever she goes to full crouch, you usually want sidewalk left. Right? Not even sidestep. If you sidestep left, this will catch you. I don't know why. Like, don't ask. That sidestep block, if I try it, it just catches me. Sometimes, right? But sidewalk left is usually what you want to do. It's kind of range dependent as well. And it will also avoid the wall standing 3. When it comes to while standing 4, you don't see this too much. While standing 4 is basically a non-existent move for Ana, but it will catch your sidestep level. But as I said, you don't see this much because the while standing 3 exists. But this move is kind of crazy, yeah. In my opinion, this sequence right here is actually insane unless it's long range. Because if you're close range, you actually cannot avoid this. With any kind of movement, you can't avoid this with God's Enemy. And you have to mash like a jab, let's say, against it. Right? So while standing 4 is actually a very good option, but as I said, you won't usually see this because Ana players use the while standing 3 as a while standing 4. They just use that move instead. Okay. That's more or less about the full crouch mix-up. Now let's talk about the heat burst and the heat smash. Let me do a jab into it. So think about the heat burst. This also follows the same rules in most other heat bursts, where it tracks to the left decently well. You guys can see that tracked me, right? There you go, that also tracked me. But if you go to the right, it will almost always work. It also depends, because as I almost always say this, it's very, very easy to actually make heat burst track. Right? So it's way harder to sidestep heat burst than it looks like. It's very easy to make them track. But if you do want to step them on the get the reads, you have to go to the right usually. And the Ana's also follows the same rule, more or less, right? Okay, that's about that. Now let's talk about the heat smash. So the thing about the heat smash is that it's a very fast one. It's 13 frames, right? 13 frame heat smash. And it also tracks decently well to the left. You can somewhat step it, but usually it will track you. Like that situation there, these kind of situations usually won't happen. The jab into the heat smash can be stepped to the left, but trust me that you have to step right more than to step left. It can, both version can work sometimes, but sometimes this will also catch you. Something like that, maybe, right? But if you do the same thing to the right, it won't catch you. So if you want to step this, you go right and then punish it, right? Same as a heat burst. Now let's talk about the block property. So this is -5 unlike most heat smashes, which is a good thing because I hate plus frame heat smashes because you're usually forced to block it. But one big thing about this is that a lot of Ana players, ever since Antef started doing it, power crush after this. That's the main reason why they do it, is because it's -5. Or they just smash after this in general. So it's gonna look something like this, right? They're in heat, they do this, and then power crush. Main reason this works is because the pushback makes you think that you have to go forward and then press. Right? Now we get power crushed. So, yeah. The thing you do about this power crush is just sidestep. Like, there's no check that you can do here. You can't check this. Right? Other characters can do, let's say, a generic down forward one and still block this. But if you want to actually deal with this correctly, you have to step this. Usually a sidestep or sidewalk left is gonna work, and then you launch it into whatever combo. Don't drop it like I did. Into whatever combo. Or you can also just stop and block it and punish it. You can also do that. But if you want max damage with a launcher, then you do that. Step it, launch it. Okay. Is that it? Holy shit, my throat actually hurts from talking this much. And not only just talking this much without stopping in a row for pretty damn fast as well. Okay. Heat slide. True, I did not mention the heat slide. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, think about the heat slide. So normal slide, usually it's -16, right? The first it's -12, this is -16. You don't really have to think about it too much. You can punish both with the launcher. But it becomes different when it comes to the heat version. So now let's talk about the heat version. So this is -1, the heat version. And it's also guaranteed on counter hits. If you counter hit, this is all guaranteed for 64 damage, and it's kind of crazy. It's kind of damn strong. But now, what makes this so damn annoying? For us specifically, this is very annoying because what you need for this move, if you want to punish it well, is two things: either an orbital or a hop kick. Hop kick is preferred. Why? The main reason is because when you block this, you actually cannot punish this with a 13 frame move. Even Twin Pistons trades here, right? You can do something like this, but it's not really a launch, right? And what you have to do here is a low crush. You do this into a jump. And this is the main way you punish this move with every other character. You do this into orbital, do this into a hop kick, you know, whatever. That's how you punish this. But Kazuya over here doesn't have a hop kick or an orbital. But what you can do is a delayed hop kick. But it's very hard. It's very hard to do a delayed hop kick here. But there we go. That's what you have to do. But it's hard because you have to react very, very quickly. You don't have any reaction time. You know, any time to react to this and then do the delayed hop kick. If you delay it a little bit and try to react to it, let's say, oh, I blocked the low, let me just do a delayed hop kick. Even like a split second of that reaction, and it won't work anymore. But if you want to 100% punish this, this is how you do it. You do this. But this has another problem. The problem being just that. That's not a punish. Right? That's also a problem because they can just do this. Now I'm an idiot. Now I'm a clown for doing that. Right? Even in Heat they can just do that. A delayed hop kick, it's not a punish. So that's why it's preferred to do a hop kick if you have one. Or an orbital that's 20 or faster. That's what's preferred. But yeah, delayed hop kick can also work, especially in Heat it can be good, but as I said, it's not really an option select. It's hard to do, and it's a headache, and it's just too much. It's too much, basically. So, yeah, that's about this move. You can also step this in the neutral, but it's a little bit awkward to step because its tracking is pretty damn good. Not damn good, but it's decent enough. Okay. I think that's it. Is it? Give me a few seconds. Give me a few seconds just to review everything. I think that's it. I think that took like an hour and a half, if not more. If not more. Crazy. The main reason, by the way, I delayed the Ana Speed Lab so much for everyone on YouTube and on Twitch as well. Mostly on Twitch they would know, I think, is that Ana was so damn busted before the latest patch that you didn't have any options against most of the stances. Not most of the stances, but the hammer chance. You didn't have any options. You couldn't really do anything because the 1+2 and the 2 tracked you, and there was no reason for me to do a speed lab and just tell you guys that you can't do anything. Right now you can. It's a little bit better, but Ana is still very, very strong, and most of you guys will already know this. That she's one of the top characters in the game right now, and it's very important to know. So, yeah, everyone, big thank you for watching. Big thank you. This was a long vid, but actually it wasn't as long as I thought, hour and 20 minutes. But yeah, thanks for watching again, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Till then.